I'm George Uwanu. I'm head of creative and strategy at Maginus, and today I'll be sort of talking through milking your data and helping you find out the data sources that are available to you and how to work those best for your business. Just before we start, can I have a show of hands if there's people here that are happy with the amount of data they have on their customers? Right, okay, brilliant. Out of all of you, how many people are actively collecting data, analysing and then implementing those findings on a regular basis? Is there anyone? Okay, 1, brilliant. 2, great. And out of the 2 of you, have you got a full member of staff doing this, or is it sort of part-time role sharing? Is it full-time member, full-time? Great. So today I'm going to try and cover some of the following topics. So why data is so important, what data you might have that you might not realise, or you don't know how to exploit it as much, and how that can help your business, how to actually milk it and get the most out of it, and then understanding those data that you're getting, the number crunching, and how to best utilise it. And then on top we're going to talk about a bit of the reporting and prioritising the reports that come out for certain roles, and just a few freebie tools along the way that I'm sure most of you have heard of, but I'll just cover those. So I wanted to say, why data? So data is really important because it's not just the past. A lot of people get stuck in the past part, looking at what's happened and, oh, people went here, they did that, they look at the journeys, but they don't actually implement it and say, that's going to help my future, and pushing it through and migrating into future plans and manipulating that to your advantage. The other thing is it's not an opinion piece, it's factual, it's number crunching, it's there in black and white that you can have a look at. And it will show you the trends and insights, and both positive and negative, so you can actually see what is working, but at the same time it's just important to find out what's actually not working for your business and make sure you correct that. And it'll help you make informed decisions on actually where to spend the time, the effort, the budget, and in which priority to do that. And the one thing I always like to think of, the customers are individuals, so where you can do personalization, merchandising, any intelligence in your offering, that's always better than doing a blanket, whether it's product merchandising or emails. Try and segment and personalize as much as possible. And the data is the thing that helps you segment and personalize. Just before we start, I thought I'd start off with some interesting stats. So 68% of the UK marketeers deliver multi-channel messaging based on customer segments, but only 35% of them actually know which channels they prefer. So they're giving out the whole multi-channel thing, but they don't actually know what that customer prefers. And that's basically the data setup they have. Only 22% of the companies say they have a company-wide strategy for collecting and integrating data analysis with business objectives, while almost 2/3, that's around 63%, say they're working on this, and some 15% don't have a strategy at all for it. 70% of companies have at least one person directly responsible for it, for improving the conversion, and that's actually gone up from 60% in 2009. The proportion of companies that have more than one person in place has significantly increased from last year, from 20% to 37%, which is great news. And 84% of organisations of the 23 companies who incentivize staff on improving conversion, and that could be from voucher schemes, bonuses, all sorts of ways. Some do time in lieu, all sorts of methods. They've improved the conversion in the last 12 months compared with the average expected 76%, so it does help to incentivize staff. We talk about grazing for data, so the data sort of channels that you've got at your disposal are the website. If you do click and collect, if you're a larger retailer, you've obviously got your store, your bricks and mortar, if you're not pure play. direct catalogues, you might do that, call center, mobile, tablets, all sorts of different channels. And we're going to talk mainly about online today, but splitting it into two categories, online and offline. Data that's easily accessible. Online is your analytics, it's your customer history, your orders, the online marketing that you might be doing, so SEO, paid search, social, email, multivariate testing. And then offline, it's your back-end warehouse, your ERP, any finance systems you have in place, POS, tills, call centers, direct marketing and footfall. So you can take these and manipulate them if you're capturing that data into something that can help you in the future. As I said, we're going to be talking about online mainly. So some of these are KPIs that it can help. So when you're using data in the correct ways, it will help your conversion rate. It will, do you want me to go through this? Anyone wants me to go through what these areas are? Or are we all happy with, they're pretty much standard industry. I'll leave it up there for a bit, but it's conversion rate, cost per visitor, average order values, new visitor percentage on your site, the ratio of new visitors versus returning visitors, so you can see loyalty, the stickiness, it could be just of one page or of the whole site, but you can measure that, and lifetime value of that customer, so you can then find out how much you're willing to spend to acquire. And the effect on offline sales, if you are online and offline, there's obviously quite a big migration from people researching online and then going and purchasing offline. So it's important to measure these things. And there's conversion analysis. So what is it that actually makes that person convert? Is it that particular journey? Is it a particular landing page? If you've got a few methods of conversion on your site, it's best to find that magic pathway that most people are taking and has a higher conversion rate. And obviously new account setups, so how frequent you're getting more account setups, the number, it can be per day, per month. So now we've got those KPIs. Today we're just going to cover just these 4 things. I haven't really got time to go through everything, but these are the 4 main things we're going to cover today. So web analytics, social media, email marketing and multivariate testing. So with web analytics, I'll just give you some stats again. So 29% of companies using Google Analytics exclusively are unsure if they've installed Google correctly and it's properly configured. Of those that don't use Google Analytics exclusively, only 61% think their installation's correct. So there's a lot of people out there that have it as a default and it's running, but not spending the time to make sure that you're capturing the right data, the right funnels, the right setup. So there's some quick wins that can be done in that sense. Then 87.3% of UK consumers spend at least 24 hours researching a purchase for over £200 in value. Comparably, with only 6 minutes is spent on the retailer's product page. So there's a lot of thinking that's coming off that page that's, they're not doing it all on that product page. In the UK, there's 5.3 billion spent online during May 2011, and it's a year-on-year increase of 18%. And 4 p.m. on Wednesday is the peak workplace shopping time. So that's the largest shopping rush when employees are celebrating basically the hump of the week, and you see a 75% increase in shopping. So it's a good idea to try and test mail campaigns or PPC at that time and just give it a go. But 4 p.m. on Wednesday, apparently it is. All these stats, by the way, come from eConsultancy, which we pulled out. So web analytics, I just want to go through a few key setups. Some of these might seem quite simple, but there's a lot of people that don't actually even have these set up. So ensure you've got e-commerce tracking. If you're an e-commerce site, it's really important to have the e-commerce tracking figures in Google Analytics. I'm talking mainly about Google Analytics here, rather than any of the others. I presume the majority of you use Google Analytics. There might be some core metrics or web trends out there. Is there anyone else that uses anything but Google Analytics? No? Great, one person. 2, 3, great, thank you. Setting up the correct funnel conversions through milestone pages, just so you understand where you're getting the dropouts and where they're not completing through that funnel and that journey. Test them, try different funnels, make them as complex or as simple as you need to, but do try them, do set them up. Campaign tracking is another thing that I don't see many people using. I like to tag if I'm sending out an email or something, I use the Google campaign tracking codes, and I put those in. So when I look at Google Analytics, I can see, Wednesday's email shots for spring summer that's gone out, and you can now easily track that rather than in Google Analytics as that label, rather than trying to work out which referrer and things like that. So campaign tracking does come in very handy. And event tracking is another thing that should be used more and more now. Event tracking is when you don't want to basically get another excuse me sorry, you don't want to get another page view showing if they're downloading a PDF or they might be playing a video, but you still want to see that that particular thing has been calculated in your analytics. So you want to see when a download's been made, or you want to see when someone's watched that video. It's really important, because then you know whether to invest in more videos or to invest in white labels or product info. It's a great thing to have event tracking on your analytics. Sorry, Ditka. Thanks. Sorry. Few things to remember with your analytics. To just address your KPIs. Some people they get all this data and they think, right, it's amazing, and they're clicking through, they're going through and saying, oh, that's quite interesting, but they never bring it back to the KPIs that they've given themselves, the goals that that business has, and actually map it to those goals. So try and stay focused and address those KPIs. And also remember that not everyone's interested in the same data. Create bespoke reports. So you might want an executive summary for a board. You might want a different report for marketing versus development. There's a load of things you can do with Google Analytics to customize. So take advantage of that and create a report that's bespoke to you or the roles that you're doing it for. Another thing I like to do is customize dashboards, so it's easy. So when I've got the things I want to see, the KPIs or particular things of interest, I drag those and make those into the dashboard setups, and it's just easily accessible rather than having to click through and basically have to extract the data. Create those dashboards, and it makes it easier, makes your job quicker, and it's very handy. And then afterwards, react. So if you see something, don't just put it down as, oh, that's interesting. Find out a way of actually then either making the most of that particular finding, or correcting it if it's a negative. But don't just sit on it, watching it and wonder if it stays there next month. It's really important to, to use it in basically in anger and push your business via your analytics. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, so it's turned into a cough, which is really convenient today. Social media. So in the UK, Facebook accounted for more than 53% of internet visits during June in 2011. And only 7% of marketers are measuring the impact of social media and generating ROI. So they might be doing it, but they have no idea on the return of investment on the particular campaigns or the particular network preferences and presences. Social networks increase traffic sent to online retailers by 13%. So it is worth doing it. Again, do the social things when you're ready. Don't do it just because we've said it increases it by 13% or anyone else is doing it. You've got to be set up in-house to do it. Once you start the ball rolling, it's very difficult to stop. So make sure you've got the resource and the bandwidth to enable you to do social. 68% of UK marketers deliver multi-channel marketing messages based on customer segments, but only 35% actually know which. I've already said that. I don't know how that got in there, but it's gone back. Sorry. Here's some key setups through the various social sites. So this one's for Facebook. Try and customize your Facebook page, and it'll increase the likes. A great one that I like to sort of tell people, which we've not done unfortunately, but it's the Red Bull Facebook page. It's absolutely brilliant. They've got a can of Red Bull, and they've designed these arrows that go across and all point to the like button. Just draws you to the like, and it's a simple design and setup. Everyone can do it. It takes maybe a couple of hours, and that'll be it. So it's important to try and do that. Add social buttons to your site where you can, and it'll broaden the brand's reach. It'll take you off your site into the social networks, and it does work. Use competitions to increase your following and identify loyal customers. Again, depending on your business, you do different types of competitions. It could be a free gift or a free promotion. Other people say if you buy this, we'll add another gift. Really depends on your brand and what sort of competitions you want to do and interact with your customers. And create multiple pages of relevant content. There's not enough people are using the tabs and getting a rich area of content in there. It tends to be the Facebook war and photos and sometimes videos. But you can, using iframes and using the tabs, you can really put some rich content into Facebook now and make it a destination. You can even put your e-commerce shopping experience on Facebook. So research and try and do that if you can. And use apps where you can. It could be a game, it could be a widget that relates to your products, but anything you can do to engage those customers, give it a go. It doesn't have to necessarily be expensive. It can just be HTML. If you've got in-house developers or your agency can do it, it's pretty simple depending on what you want to do, but it doesn't have to be expensive. None of this, I've tried to not make it as an expense, so you should be able to pick up a few things here. Some key setups for Twitter. A lot of people that sort of pick up social on their own, mainly the small retailers that we've talked to, are still using sort of the Twitter dashboard as such, and they're then going to Facebook, and then they're going into LinkedIn and just sort of logging in and out of everything. You can use third-party tools which you can just write the one statement and broadcast it across your social media. Things like Hootsuite, for example, will do that. There's to use short URLs when you're doing tweets, because you've got the character length that you've got to watch. So if you shorten your URLs, it will help you write additional messaging, but it also helps track. If you use short URLs, you can track those and look at the analytics of those tweets. Look at retweets, look at mentions, look at unsubscribes as well. Not enough people look at the unsubscribes in relation to what they were tweeting or they were on Facebook, because it's important. If as a business you might be bashing people on product, but the reason you got them on your side was maybe a couple of things that you did on just generic articles or stories or talking about someone else rather than your product. So it's almost just look at what your customers want. If there's a mass drop of unsubscribes, look at what you've done. It might be that you've done something out of what they think you wanted as a retailer. So always check the unsubscribes, just as important as. Sorry, yeah. It's Hootsuite. I've got this in the presentation afterwards, and I can give you all the tools after. Personalize your presence as well. So as much as you can, make it fall in line with the brand you have online. So make the Facebook page look like your brand, make Twitter look like your brand, and just personalize it as much as possible. Create the short, punchy tweets as well. When you're doing tweets, try and make it concise, make it something that someone's going to scan, read, and then want to retweet. If it's quite lengthy, sometimes when they try and retweet, then it goes over the character length. They try and edit it. It's just a faff for them. So try and make it short and punchy, and you'll get more retweets. And ensure you're measuring your followers, your clout score and your unfollows. It'll give you, again, an insight into what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And track your top key phrases. So just make sure that you've got a presence where your industry is being heard or your particular retail segment is being talked about. Make sure that you're tracking those things. You can use things like social mention. There is viral heat. Viral heat's quite cheap. There are extortionate packages out there. If you're not doing considerable sales online, it's probably not worth it. But if you want to come and see me afterwards, I can give you some more tools. Key setups for YouTube now. So again, brand your presence. You can brand it very well on YouTube and create your own channel. And optimize your submission. So a lot of people I've seen, they upload the video, they give it a title, and that's it. They don't actually take any thought into the title, the description, and optimize it like you would want to do it on your own website. So take the time, optimize those key areas of YouTube, so you're easily found, and it helps your SEO as well. Ensure visibility settings are correct as well. I've seen so many people that have uploaded their YouTube videos and they've not had visibility on, so no one's been able to see them. They've basically been uploading privately to their own channel and they've not switched it on. Key setup for blogs. Keep the content fresh. Get as much article writing as you can on those blogs, and work with your SEO agency or your in-house SEO to make sure you're going for those key phrases in the blogs. It's a great way of going for the halo reach of your SEO, where you might not necessarily want to put it on your own website, but you feel comfortable about putting it on a blog and talking about certain topics on the blog, which will still drive traffic to your site. So it's a great way of doing that. There's a source in analytics. You should set that as a source in the analytics so you can see it clearly and visibly where it's been helping with analytics. And monitor the blog as you would your site. There's so many people that put it up and they've got this blog and they give it to either another department or someone to go ahead and keep writing things, and they forget about it. They concentrate on the e-commerce site or the online marketing, but the blog's this thing that's just trickling on its own in the background. Sometimes it's given to interns or juniors. It's just as important. It can create a lot of money and drive a lot of sales to your site. So monitor it, and just as you would, it's part of the group, it's part of the family, so keep that monitoring going. Things to look at on social media and things to remember is to look at your own or network analytics. So you can have Facebook Insights, go in and have a look and see what's happening on your page, see how much people are engaging, how much they're writing comments and things like that. It's important to go into these tools and have a look. Reply promptly, basically, in social media. You can't leave a negative comment there or a question too long. It just gives a sort of negative effect on your brand. Although social media is meant to be breaking down that sort of barrier of corporate or retailer versus consumer, and by doing social media it's a one-to-one, it's almost like they take more offence because you've broken down those barriers, and they're asking you as almost as a friend on Facebook, on Twitter. I'll get a quick reply. Can I find this in this store, etc. If it lasts 2, 3, 4 days without any reply, it's got a bad taint on it. So try and keep it monitoring and reply as quickly and as efficiently as possible to it. And invest in some social monitoring tools. It makes social life easier. You don't have to go and scour for these comments and look for your mentions and things. You can get the tools where it gives you a column where you can just see them very clearly, see them visibly. You can set up hashtags for questions and ask your followers to do, if you're going to ask a question, please use this hashtag, or set rules and guidelines. There's nothing wrong with that. Consumers and customers don't mind following rules if it makes it easier and you're going to reply quicker. And again, as I mentioned, just resource correctly. It's a public domain. It's out of your control. You can't. Something's out there. You can't take Facebook down. You can't take Twitter down. It's going to be there for a while. So you have to just sit there and just say, can we do social media at this particular time? What's it going to do for our business? And then make the call whether you invest on it or you leave it until it's matured in terms of the business and you want to do it. Email marketing. So again, some stats. 72% of respondents to an e-consultancy survey in early 2011 described emails ROI as excellent or good. And that's scoring better with, only organic SEO was scoring better than that. So email marketing does work. There is a magic database number that you'll find and a certain time that you want to send it and a type of content that always works magically. I've got some clients that I used to do email marketing for, and I used to get a phone call from the marketing manager saying I'm low on my target. I haven't got £25,000. I need £25,000, and we go through and look at the analytics and say, right, this campaign does that easily in excess of that, so we'll send that out this afternoon. We ping it through. Next day, £30,000 in revenue. So you'll get to that place where you can play your numbers and play that frequency. Obviously, you don't want to go and do that every day. It won't work. But there will be a time when you understand your marketing database in terms of email marketing, the frequency of the mail and the content that will just produce some more revenue when you need it. There's in 2011, there's been an increase in retailers split testing subject lines and content to perfect the campaigns for maximum response and ROI. So it goes back to what I was saying about blanket sending, and don't treat everyone the same. A little thing I like to do, it's very simple. You take your database. If you want to split test with A and B, send a subject line with subject line A in and send it to 10% of your database. Then send 10% to B and just watch the results. Look at the analytics, the click-throughs, the open rates, and just say, right, A worked better on the subject line than B did, and then send the remainder of the 80% database to A. So it's very simple. You can just do simple things like that. It doesn't have to be complex. And you can do A, B, C, D, E, F as much as you want, depending on your database size. Some key setups for your email marketing. Try and personalize and target the email content for your subscribers. And when I say personalize, I'm not talking just about the name. Dear Tom, dear Sally. It's getting that point across. If it's a children's wear site or brand, if I know that person has a daughter, I'm not going to waste the content of the mail on boys' clothing. So you want to segment it to make sure that you've got, you're targeting the user, but also you might want to go down and look at order history and throw out dynamic products. So if they've bought that particular product, go around the tight range of it rather than sending that product, and send them things that you know that's going to work, what they've actually purchased, and send them similar things. So you can do that with most top tier 1 email providers. So go through the order history, go through frequency, times, and do triggered emails. But just start testing and collect that data to then inform the next email campaign and the next email campaign. So then you turn it into a bit of an art and know how to really crank that email campaign to maximum. As I said, make sure you're running split testing. It's very simple, and it's a win-win situation. Synchronize your data as well. There's still lots of points where I've seen where people are doing, excuse me. There's lots of people that are uploading manual data each time they do an email. Synchronize it with your database and your unsubscribe so that you're always making the most. If someone's subscribed 5 minutes ago, make sure they're on the mailing list, not something that you've downloaded from your ERP or your e-commerce engine, yesterday or the day before. So it's important to make sure that you're getting up-to-date data. Try and then track and analyze the results. Again, most tools will let you do that either live through a dashboard on their tool, and integrate with social media when you can. So again, a lot of the tools allow you to put Facebook likes in the emails against products and track things like that. So where you can put social and you've got a social presence, then go ahead and do that. If you haven't got a social presence in terms of Facebook and Twitter and things like that, use social bookmarking. So they might have Delicious or Dig or something like that, where they've got online bookmarking, which they can also then share to and basically give you a bit more of a mention and spread your brand. Things to remember about email marketing is collect customers' emails at every opportunity. There's a thing I like to share with people. We did must have been about 6 years ago now. I did a test with a marketing director at a company called Kudos, and we put a pop-up on the site. As soon as you landed on the homepage, first time it would say, "Hi, thank you very much for visiting our site. Would you like to give us your email address in exchange for," and it'd be a promotion. And that we were a bit wary about putting something like that. We thought everyone's going to shut the browser down, go somewhere else. In fact, it gave us a 25% increase in email acquisition. And when they only pressed the close on the pop-up, and they still carried on shopping. So it didn't give us a bounce rate like we thought it would. So that person went from Kudos to My Wardrobe to Sainsbury's to now eBay, and it's worked every single time. So it wasn't a one-off fluke for that customer. So give that a go if you can do that. Mix things up. Try different designs. Although you might want to keep the same template for cost reasons and making sure you can broadcast something quickly, there's no reason why you can't change some of the layout, some of the design, the graphics. No one wants to think that they've, if you see a preview of it, that you've already read the mail. So try and change it up as much as you can, especially above the sort of the preview fold. And it could be just as simple as having a different background or just changing some of the imagery inside the top part of the email. And find a mailing frequency that suits your customer. Some people can get away with one every day. If you're doing fashion and it's advisory, people can get away with one a day because it's not bombarding them, it's not spam as seen. Other people might do it once a week. Others can maybe only get away with it once a month. So it's really important to send out, try different things, try different frequencies, but then basically if it doesn't work, go back, reduce the frequency, but just keep that data to do this. You've got to keep your data clean. It's got to be it's got to be basically up to date and clean. There's a lot of people that might acquire data, so you might buy emails and half of them will do hard bounces, some will be soft bounce, and you just don't know where you're coming from. So keep on top of your data in that instance. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about multivariate testing. Just out of interest, does everyone know what multivariate testing is? Does anyone do it in the room? No? Okay. I will tell you why you have to do it. So here's some stats again. Only 17% of online marketers are currently using MVT, but 42% intend to use it in order to improve their conversion rates. And of those using MVT, 95% felt that it was either highly valuable or quite valuable in improving the conversion rates. A 30% increase on conversion can be easily achieved with the use of MVT. Did something about a month ago where we changed the buy button from it was a square button. We made it rounded the corners of it. We increased the spacing between the letters of the label, and we also, I think it was buy, and we added buy now. And it was such a subtle change. We kept the colours the same, the size the same. It increased, the increase on their conversion was 75% just by doing that one button. That paid for the tool for that whole month, just by changing the smallest things, which you wouldn't be able to do without using the testing tool. You wouldn't think about doing it or being able to track it. And only 10% to 20% of marketers that would generate a great ROI from MVT are actively using MVT. So the numbers in this room sort of go to prove it. Some key setups for MVT when you get to do it. Don't just do A/B, because A/B gives you some insight, gives you some data, but try and do the most of it with as multivariate testing. So you might want to do a product. A simple product would be a lady holding a vase of flowers and just the vase of flowers on its own. Which one works better? That's just a simple A/B test. But you might then say, well, I'm going to change the copy, I'm going to change the title, and do that simultaneously. Then you find out that the lady holding the vase with the friendlier tone of voice on your copywriting worked better than the default copy that you had with the lady with the flowers. So get as many sort of variations in there as you can. And test your landing pages. A lot of people forget about this. They go through the whole sort of, this is the journey, this is the most important page, the basket, the checkout. Actually, people forget sometimes about their paid search pages, their landing pages, their top keywords pages. So when you're doing organic search, which of those pages are optimized and which come up, in your top results. Check those landing pages out and see what you can do in testing those pages. They're going to be the quick wins because they're the ones most visited. So go for your top landing pages. And then test and target the campaigns based on your audience. So again, don't just blanket multivariate test. Go for maybe people that are coming from Google or a particular time of the day. So I like to try making a content based on during the week between 12 and 2. I know people are probably at work. They're going to be quite time restricted. I'm going to make my product pages, my checkout page, as quick and as punchy as possible. And test that. On the weekend, however, from Friday to Monday morning, I'm going to add richer content. I'm going to put more videos on there. I'm going to give them more of an experience because I'm assuming on the weekend they're going to have more time. And test that out so you can really then drive the most conversion for that particular time and date. Another thing would be a simple one that I've done is on landing pages. If looking at the browser and if the default language is different to English, if it's French, create a French banner and just a welcome message or something that's in the native language of whichever browser you're going for. So that, although the rest of the site might be in English, it's a step towards a multilingual site if you haven't got one, and it does help conversion. Excuse me. Things to remember about multivariate testing is to look at the results basically regularly. There is a bit of an art of knowing when to cancel or stop the test because you can get false peaks and troughs in the testing. So you might think A's winning and you cut it short, but actually if you gave it a couple more days, it would then turn into B. So you get to understand when to switch them on and off early. But just keep looking at it. Don't forget about these tests. Look at it. If it's a really straightforward winner, cut the test short and implement that change. And pick a tool that suits you. There's a lot of people going for people like Google Optimizer, where it's a free tool, I'll do the free tool versus the paid tool. But they sort of forget that Google Optimizer needs a page created. You then need to place it on the site. There's a lot more faffing around. Because it's free, you need to do it more of the grunt work yourselves. And it hasn't got the same test and target that most of the other tools have. So really, if you want to try MVT, it's a great place to start, but it's not the tool that would transform your business in terms of multivariate testing and conversion. But do it at the right time. Migrate to the other tools at the right time. And be open to test anything. So you might think your copy's great, but test it. You might think the graphics are brilliant and your brand's brilliant, but test it. I had a customer the other day that we tried a different brand colour for just completely nothing, not on brand at all, and it never worked. Actually, they had a massive increase on conversion because the colour was different on their brand. So now they're looking at rebranding because conversion is better. So you've got to try it to find out where you're losing where you're losing the revenue. And also it's a great way of basically settling arguments. I've been in boardrooms where they're all arguing for 3 or 4 hours. You know, I think it should be like this, I think it should be like this. And we go, do you know what? We will multivariate test it. I will put all of your opinions onto a test, come back and actually say, do you know what? The CEO was right on this particular time. The CEO was right, and it's there in black and white. It's statistics, and that's the great thing. You can put statistics on design, which is always, it was subjective, and you could argue it until you're blue in the face. I like this color, or I like this design. Well, now you can actually back it up with statistics and revenue. So that's the great thing about multivariate testing. We've already done this. I don't know what's happened. I think I'm pressing the wrong buttons here. Sorry. Right. Sorry. So hopefully you're probably doing quite a lot of this stuff, and you're milking the data. You're getting a ton of data, but you're drowning in it, or you're maybe not reacting to it because you've got so much. Where do I start? A lot of people do it as part of the day role. They don't think it's a one-person full-time job. And they try and juggle it, and guess what? It's always the data that sort of suffers. It's I haven't got time to check into analytics today, or I haven't got time to cleanse my database. So it's the one thing that goes on the back burner. And there's also the fact that there's so much, nothing gets done. It's one thing no one you'll get to it tomorrow because it's just going to be a horrible job, and so people just leave it. And the other thing is some people don't have the number crunching brain, and leave it to mathematicians. I personally get to a certain level and it goes beyond me, and back at the office I've got mathematicians who like to look at it in terms of business intelligence and data mining, data warehousing, and they love the numbers. So I sort of say, right, I'm quite happy doing the marketing bit, but I'm not the number cruncher. Come back to me with these numbers. And it's knowing that skill level and basically giving it to someone with that skill level. And the other thing is, you've got this data, you've got all this thing that you know what to do, but what takes priority is changing the checkout better than cleansing my database for my emails, or I've got lots of things happening on Twitter and Facebook that's going to give me product insight. Do I go there? And finding out priorities of what to do. And it can be hard sometimes. Can I just ask, has anyone here heard of scorecards, in particular balanced and weighted scorecards? No? Yeah, few, brilliant. I'm not going into them in depth, I'm just doing a very simplistic methodology of scorecards. If you've got any more detailed questions, come and find us afterwards. Basically a balanced scorecard. Kaplan and Norton from Harvard Business School realised that measuring the health of an organisation merely on financial results was flawed, and it's not always the financial results, in particular sales revenue, that tells the story of the past events without providing indicative figures on the future success of an organisation. So it's not always the sales that make you great. And they suggested the analysis should be measured across the different areas. So you should combine financial with other things like HR, business processes, just to give you a balanced view of the company and how it's doing in organisational health. And you can apply the same concepts to online strategy and balance the conversion rates with your email address acquisition rates, balance the online sales with the cost of PPC, and so on. You can do whatever you want, just balance it and find out that you're not just doing one data stream in isolation. Balanced scorecard, it's basically a combination of several of your KPIs merged, and it needs to be, the most important thing, it needs to be accurate data. You can't do this on things you think are happening. It's got to be there black and white and know that it's correct. The scorecard then needs a weighting to prioritize the results and importance to your business. It will be different to everyone's business. And also the scorecard reinforces that you can't look at it in isolation. Depending on the importance of the KPI to the business as well, and it's not just the KPI on its own, it's the role within the organization will have a different importance to that KPI, and it's the role of an analyst or whoever's in charge of this to balance it and determine what's the best for the business, not for their role or someone else's role, but as a whole, the organizational health. So this is just a very simple way of looking at it. A great customer to a business. Now, the receptionist might think they're a brilliant customer because they're friendly, they're happy, they're polite, they're just a great person to be around. The salesman always thinks the best customer is the one that they give the sales order to, or the sale agreement, and they sign it without any quibbles, and they get the money and the commission. Finance directors would want the customers, the best customer, the one that pays on time, the one that you don't have to chase and chase and chase until you're blue in the face. And the CEO might think, well, they say nice things about us, they come to my golf days, they, friendly customers, we can get references from them, etc. So everyone has a different perspective on what is good about a customer, and that'll be the same for the KPIs and what each role thinks is a great KPI for them. Another sort of example I came up with was sort of top trumps. So that is, in essence, almost like a scorecard. Top trumps, the sort of top gear one. Excuse me. Different cards have different strengths. One of them being sort of the speed, and then you take their card if yours is performing better. Again, it's data on an isolated level. It's only that line, speed, that made it better than the other car. But the chance of you winning and increasing it is getting those cards where they're averaging a good card, where the chances are that person, when you've got the speed card there, they might do something else like weight, and you've got a really bad weight, so they'll take your card. It's good to have an average. So that's what makes it a valuable asset. So taking the balance of making that card better across the board is going to improve your chances. And you can be a bit fun with it and create a top trump for your business and come up with the KPIs or the measures that you want to give yourselves, and then put a point system on it, and give yourself a health check just in one easy card. Other things you can do is create executive dashboards, display a graphical representation of your KPIs, and it could be a single access point. Every time someone goes into a management person, they can go into it, they can see the health check there of the organization. Different roles will have different health checks, but you'll always have the overall health check of the organization. And you can do this via traffic lights, red, amber, green. Just a simple result here. So this is something I've made up. Page impressions on a site. So the monthly target was 20,000 page impressions, and the actual target they got was 30,000. So that's brilliant. Great, they've exceeded the target. In isolation, that's great. You look at the previous month, the actual was 60,000. So now when you see those two figures, there's something bad happening there. You've halved this month's page impressions. So something's bad's gone. But if you wanted to swing it your way, you just show this month, and it looks like you hit your targets. Whereas on average, or month-on-month comparison, you're actually going down, and something's going wrong in the business. And this is just, you can add different things like conversion rate, Again, going from 3 to 2.5, it's bad, but it's not too bad. It could be a fluctuation. You can mark that as amber. And sales targets, you've increased your sales. So overall, it's good. Your business is going fine. And you can determine what makes those different traffic light signals and what colors they go to. Some tools that will help. Just put this up. Everyone seems to be using Google Analytics, so you know what to do with that. It's got customer reporting, e-commerce reporting. You can track your goals, visualization data. You can integrate it with AdWords and AdSense, and there's tons of more features. So it's a great tool, especially as it's free. Excuse me. Hootsuite, which I was talking about earlier, it allows you to manage multiple social networks and accounts. It has great reporting and analytics features in it, and it can monitor your mentions. So when you're being talked about, you can see it in an easy way, and you can build custom reports. We use it for some of our clients. You can do team stuff, so I can say to a member of my team, try and do this, and you can set tasks. You can use group sharing features. It's a great little tool. It is free for up to a certain amount of networks. Can't remember, but then it's something like $5 or $9 as you advance in the usage. So it's minimal to the business. ClickTail, I believe they're here in the show. You basically implement it on the pages that you want, and it will give you video recordings of the screens. So you'll see where visitors may be hovering on a graphic that they think is a button, and they're clicking it, but actually it's just you making a nice button or a seal as a badge. You might see them struggling with data input, so they might be trying on a credit card, for example. You might have changed the fields, and they automatically, the brain says, well, I put my name first, then the number, then the expiry in the CV2, and they just don't read the labels and they carry on. So it allows you to go back to these recordings. It shows you a time, so you can sort of scan through them and see, on average, everyone's spending 2 minutes on it. Then you see a 10 minutes, so you can click on that 10 minute and see that video for 10 minutes. It'll also give you heat maps. So on scrolls, what page of that, what part of that page is mostly scrolled and landed on, and click heat maps to where the most clickable areas of the page are. It's a great tool. As I said, Google Website Optimizer. If you're not doing MVT, by all means start on this. It's very easy. You add basically a version of the page you want to test and upload it, and Google will split test and do it for you. Excuse me. And test those pages, learn what works, and then maybe when you've got good return off that, and you want to do something a bit more complicated, we use something called SiteSpect. It's we're the UK partner for it. The great thing is you don't need tagging or development, so I don't need to talk to any developers from the client side. It can be technology agnostic, and you don't need to create those pages that Google Optimizer does. So it works on a find and replace. So I can change main.css for main1 CSS, or red.gif for blue.gif, or men for menswear. It's very easy to find and replace, but it costs more than a free tool. So it's a balance of how much you're going to use it, how key is it to the business at the time. It's brilliant for complex MVT, which Google Optimizer just doesn't do, and test and target that we talked about earlier. Another tool I just wanted to throw in is FIFO. We use this a lot. It's basically an independent review engine, and you provide, it's integrated with the e-commerce sites, and it provides the email addresses and the order history of the product or brand or whatever you want it to read. It takes it to FIFO. FIFO then trigger an email to that person in a set amount of time that you give it. So if you want to set it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever's convenient, or whatever you think you'll get a good return of reviews based on your product and industry. And it'll ask two main questions, basically. What did you think of the customer service on the site? And then what did you think of the product? So it allows you to, on two levels, if you're a brand that sells generic products, other branded products, It allows you to separate brilliant customer service, but really, really crap product. I wouldn't buy it again. I was a bit disappointed, but it's still saying, actually, your customer service was brilliant. I went on the site. You fulfilled it when you said you'd fulfill it. The return was great. It allows you to separate yourself from being the crap product. If you are selling your own products, then it again allows you to have that product review to say, right, we're going to feed back and tell them that we're going to improve our products. It is live, so you can't actually take it because it's independent. It goes to their site, and you see all the reviews on the site. Gives you SEO basic benefits because it's someone else's site with links coming into your site. But then it gives you as a retailer the chance to then feed back. Not many people care that something went wrong on the site or it didn't work. It's the complexity or how easy it was to actually get someone to listen to you from the customer service point of view. How easy it was to return and listen to that product. As long as you're fast and you're reacting to the customer service, it's a brilliant tool to have, and it gives you real insight into your business and where to grow the businesses or where to future develop. Just summary. So again, take care of the data. It's really important. It will help you grow your business, and take time to cleanse it. If you need to get a full-time member to do it, do that. It will actually reap rewards. Learn what works, then just repeat it. Repeat it until it doesn't. I don't mean email frequency, by the way, just other things. Then don't just repeat that every day, but just try and repeat the same type of things that you're doing. If it's working and giving you a return, just keep going and tweaking it until it doesn't, and then try something new. Act on the data and then react on the results. So again, you're looking at the data, you're spending time with that. If you get the results, then react on those results and then push it forwards. Always try and push forwards, and that's why I'm sort of an advocate of having a full-time member of staff doing it, because if it's a part-time role, you just never get to push it as much as you can, and put them on an incentive, put them on commission, and put them against goals. It gets the person going. So it's a great way of just improving some simple conversion rates and things. And ensure you give yourself a target. It's no good just looking at the data and saying, oh, didn't we do well? And just hoping next month will be better. Put yourselves a target. If you fail on the target, then either you're unrealistic or something's not made you achieve that target, and that can be fixed. But if you don't have a target, there's nothing to measure yourselves against. So always make sure anything has a target, everything you do. And that is it from me. So thank you very much. They're my contact details. We're on stand 432 if you've got any other questions. Have we got time for questions here? Or yeah, that's fine. Are there any questions? Or no? Thank you very much for all attending. Thank you.